The wind whipped Arthur Morgan's coat as he rode, the setting sun painting the vast plains in hues of orange and crimson. He was a ghost, a shadow clinging to the fading light, a man haunted by the choices he'd made and the life he couldn't escape. He wasn't just surviving in this brutal land. He was wrestling with it, body and soul. Every gust of wind carried the whisper of lost opportunities, the weight of his past pressing down like the unforgiving earth beneath his horse's hooves. This wasn't about conquest, it was about finding a sliver of peace amidst the chaos. A quiet moment in the deafening roar of the Wild West. The dust swirling around his boots felt like the constant turmoil inside him, a reflection of a life lived on the edge of a knife. The hunt was a brutal dance, a silent ballet of predator and prey. The deer, its breath ragged, stumbled through the undergrowth, a desperate flicker of life against the somber green. Arthur, too, was wounded, not physically, but spiritually. The relentless pursuit mirrored his own internal struggle, the chase for redemption in a world that offered little forgiveness. The forest, dense and unforgiving, mirrored the complexity of his own heart. With each silent step, he felt the weight of his loyalties, the ties that bound him to a gang that was tearing itself apart. The air hung heavy with the scent of pine and impending doom. The flickering firelight cast dancing shadows on his weathered face, revealing the lines etched by hardship and regret. The warmth was a fragile comfort, a fleeting respite from the constant chill of his existence. In those quiet moments, away from the violence and betrayal, Arthur sought solace. He found it in the simplicity of the flames, a small rebellion against the unrelenting darkness. He thought of his past, of the men he'd lost and the choices he'd made. Could he ever find forgiveness for himself? The fire was a witness, a silent confidant to his unspoken prayers. The town pulsed with life, a cacophony of sounds and smells, a dizzying contrast to the solitude of the wilderness. But even amidst the vibrant chaos, Arthur felt like an outsider, a predator lurking in plain sight. The smiles were false, the laughter hollow, the promises empty. He knew that beneath the surface, violence lurked, ready to erupt at any moment, a reflection of the dark side of this wild frontier. He moved through the streets with a wary eye, aware that trust was a luxury he could no longer afford. The air crackled with tension, thick and suffocating. The cold steel of his revolver pressed against his thigh, a chilling reminder of the violence that defined his life. His heart hammered against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat in the suffocating silence. This wasn't a game. It was a fight for survival, a test of his skill and nerve. The lawmen were relentless, their eyes cold and unforgiving. He knew he couldn't outrun his past, but he could fight for his future, one bullet at a time. The unforgiving blizzard howled, a symphony of icy winds and driving snow, blurring the line between life and death. Yet, amidst this relentless assault of nature, Arthur found a flicker of humanity. He stopped to help a stranger, offering shelter and warmth, a small act of kindness in a world that often felt devoid of compassion. In that moment, he found a brief respite from his inner turmoil, a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there was still hope for redemption. The mountains rose like ancient sentinels, their jagged peaks piercing the sky. The journey was arduous, the path treacherous. Yet, Arthur pressed on, driven by an unwavering resolve. This wasn't just about conquering the landscape, it was about conquering himself, pushing past his limits to reach a destination that was both physical and metaphorical. The climb mirrored his internal struggle, each step representing a battle won, a challenge overcome. From the summit, the world stretched out before him, an endless expanse of untamed beauty. The vastness of the landscape humbled him, putting his troubles into perspective. In that moment, surrounded by the grandeur of nature, Arthur felt a sense of peace, a fleeting respite from the turmoil that had consumed him for so long. The view was a reminder of the resilience of the human spirit, the ability to endure even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds. The plains stretched out before him, a vast and endless expanse. He had faced the brutality of the wilderness and emerged, changed but not broken. He carried the scars of his past, but they were a testament to his resilience. The landscape reflected his own internal transformation, a journey from darkness to a tentative acceptance of his own fate. The wind whispered promises and threats alike, a fitting soundtrack to his uncertain future. The setting sun cast long shadows as Arthur rode into the distance. He rode alone, but he was no longer a ghost. He carried the weight of his experiences, the lessons he'd learned, the changes he'd undergone. The sunset symbolized both an ending and a beginning, the closure of one chapter and the opening of another. His journey through the Wild West had been one of survival, but also of self-discovery. He was ready to face whatever lay ahead.